Nobody's crazy but me.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, all y'all. This is the Girl George and the Dragons radio show. Today, we've got a reunion going on. My old friends from the Gullivers in North Beach, in San Francisco. We all used to play at Gullivers back in about 74. Here we got Sleeper. How are you, Sleeper? This is Christian Berry. How are you, Sleeper?
Yeah, I'm doing really great, George. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. We also got Helios Creed from Crum. How are you, Helios?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, George? Hi, Chris.
Hey, buddy.
Been a while.
Yes, it has.
Chris is BC, before Chrome. We used to call him Sleeper back then.
Yeah, that's what I remember him as, a Sleeper.
Yeah,
one of those names is hard to get rid of.
Yeah, does it still follow you around?
Huh?
Does it still follow you around?
Sometimes, yeah, especially when I talk to my old friends from San Francisco, you know.
Yeah, right. Here we are.
I still call him Sleeper.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to stop, huh, when you know him like that.
Well, they used to call me...
There, Helios.
What?
Is the rest of your band there? Are they going to say hi?
Yeah, you want to say hello to them?
Yeah.
All right, this is Keith. Say hello, Keith. Hello. This is Steve. Hey. And this is Alice. Hello. I should have told you what they play. Guitar, bass, drums, in that order.
Anyway. So are you recording right now?
No, we were just practicing. We got to go to Europe in a week.
Oh, cool. Where are you going?
Oh, Italy, Spain, Germany, Czechoslovakia, England. I don't know, all these, you know, the whole... We were supposed to go to Brazil, but we didn't.
You going to Russia?
Oh, the government was going to bring us, but they didn't have the money.
Are you going to Russia? Are you going to Russia?
What?
Are you going to Russia?
No, we're not going to Russia, are we? No. We're going to Helsinki, Finland, which is across the water. They might, they might want to take Finland, you know.
Hey, Helios.
Sleeper, what have you been doing lately? Sleeper,
yeah,
what have you been doing lately?
Hey, buddy. Hey, I had a gig in Pacoima, but they didn't have the money either.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I've been watching your show on the YouTube.
Oh, really? Yeah, those just came out. I got a bunch more coming up here pretty soon.
Right on, man. It's great.
You know,
man.
just a lot of root stuff, you know, and I've been doing that for quite a while now, and it seems like finally people are starting to pay attention, you know.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
It's a big
It's only taken 45 years, you know.
Yeah. It takes that long sometimes.
Well, it's kind of
Who are you playing with, Sleeper? Sleeper,
well,
who are you playing with?
I've got this wild band right now. The drummer is a fellow by the name of Doug Altman, and he actually started out with Ricky Nelson back in the day. Actually, I take that back. He started out with Bobby Sherman. That's how far back he goes. In fact, when he told me he was the drummer on Easy Come, Easy to Go, I told him, well, now we know who to blame. But you know, he went on to play with, you know, Linda Ronstadt, and they had a little band that after Linda, they started their own band, and of course that became the Eagles, you know, and he was with those guys, and then he went on to, you know, Bonnie Raitt and Souther Hillman Furay and all those. So he's the drummer, and he's a whacked out rock star just like them old guys, you know. He's definitely still out there in outer space, but that makes it kind of fun, you know. And then then we've got a guy named Brett Miller, who's probably one of the best barrel house piano players I've ever seen. That's the kind of stuff that he plays. He's kind of a disciple of like Professor Longhair, Dr. John type piano playing. and then I use a fellow by the name of Artie Olson sometimes, who also doubles on drums, but he also plays blues harp, and he was with Buddy Guy and Chico Chisholm, Luther Allison. He's like a straight ahead blues guy. So we don't get to use him all the time because we play some blues, but we play a lot of roots music, a lot of kind of New Orleans flavor, Delta kind of,
Well, who else are you playing with, Sleeper?
Well, those guys have got. I'm trying to think who I didn't mention. I use a couple of different bass players. The one main guy that I'm using right now, Chuck Mirko is his name, and he's just one of these guys that everybody under the sun uses, and it can be sometimes a double-edged sword because I have to. If he's not available, then I've got to find a sub for him. And of course, I always have 4 or 5 players, in each instrument to call on, because the whole idea behind my band was to use whoever wasn't out on tour at the time, but of a certain caliber of musician, so that there was always consistency,
I remember when we went up to Oregon, Sleeper Manual, we went on that radio show and did that interview. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was wild. It was kind of funny because I just happened to call them on the phone. I don't remember what year that was, but it was way back there. And boy, they just about fell all over themselves because they had. Yeah, they just about fell all over themselves because they had real rock stars in their little town. I think it was Burns, Oregon, or something like that. I think there was one stoplight and 2 cows, and a radio station. And the cows were listening to the radio station. No, of course not. No. I just had some cousins that lived there or something. No, actually, I consider San Francisco my hometown, but I was born in East St. Louis, so I come back from the Mississippi area.
Okay, how many kids are there in your family?
6 of us. Well, there was 6. Now there's only, I think, 3 of us left.
I don't mean who's left. My whole family's dead.
I'm like the oldest living male of my bloodline, so.
Well, I'm the only oldest living female.
Holy moly! Yeah, I said they're gonna declare me king, and then I'm gonna have a few people executed. So
what kind of work did your father do?
What
kind of work did your father do?
He did a few things. He was a history teacher. He was a jazz trumpet player for a long time, and actually he was in Al Hurt's band for a little while. And then, of course, when my mom started having kids, he had to get serious about, taking care of us. So he took a job as a school teacher and, a few other jobs. He also worked in a sawmill, which was wild. And actually one of my most favorite times of my life as a kid, because we lived in the Sierra Nevada mountains between Yosemite and Kings Canyon in this little town called Dinky Creek. And it was every day it was playing out in the mountains, And I saw my first Bigfoot up there. Actually, I didn't see him. I saw his tracks, but pretty wild. Back in them days.
Did your mother work?
Yeah, she was a nurse.
Oh,
and,
cool.
Yes, it was pretty cool.
So how did you end up in San Francisco? How old were you when you came here?
When I first hit San Francisco, the first time I was ever in San Francisco, I was probably about 16 or 17 years old. And it was either San Francisco or get drafted to Vietnam. My draft number was 12, so I knew I was going. And that had to be, I'm probably about 17. I know when I first went to San Francisco, it was over because my dad had signed me up. And I don't know what he told him. He might have told him I was 17, but
he was trying to get rid of you.
Yeah, heck yeah, because I was kind of a rebel, like all of us are. And, I didn't, we had one family barber that gave the entire family, all cousins, aunts, uncles, they gave them all their haircuts and until we were all old enough to fight back, So, I remember that that was those days, you towed the line, you wore certain clothes. My mom and dad used to dress all of us kids alike so we all looked the same, It was a wonder they could remember what our names were.
Were you all redheads?
Pretty much. It was weird because my dad had black hair and my mom had red hair, but all the boys had red hair and all the girls had black hair except for one sister who was blonde, and we always wondered about her. I think one of the milkman or the mailman, one of those guys was blonde. We don't remember which one.
So what did you do when you got here? You just kind of bummed around or what?
Well, yeah, I certainly did. In fact, when I first got there, my very first night there, I slept in a dumpster behind the Fillmore.
You recording?
And what did you say, Helios? You say you recognize me from those days? No, I'm just kidding. The first night there, I spent the night behind the dumpster in the Fillmore, and then just kind of did what everybody else did. You found people that were, my own age, and started hanging out. In fact, the very first place that I actually got to stay at was on the floor of Eddie Money's house. And
Eddie Money?
Yeah, you remember him? Anyway,
yeah.
So he had here's a cool story. He had an apartment right across the alley from the Hams Brewery. And back in those days, if you had your own glass and a nickel, you could go over and get all you could drink beer for a nickel.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, it was. Well, later on, I guess they made that into apartments and stuff, where people were living in the vats but I remember that really well. A nickel in your own glass. I think I spent a year drunk. He was a typist he worked for the police department, but he actually was a typist in the typing pool. Yeah, he liked to tell people he was a cop, but I don't think they would have had. He was,
That changes my whole opinion of him.
Yeah, well, bless his heart.
Red cop, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
He was a paper cop.
Oh, yeah. The second person I met in San Francisco was Carlos Guitarlos.
Oh,
so,
Carlos played with me for a long time.
Yeah, me too. Carlos, I, and Ray Cepeda, who was from the band Malo, and I can't remember what other bands, but we had a band. We played acoustic electric guitars. This was back in the 1989, and we called it acoustic horsepower. But as Carlos used to call it, two spicks and a hick. That was his name for our band.
Well, he played with me way before that at Gulliver's in about 1974 or 5.
Well, when I first, it had to be about 69, I want to say, and I actually met him, and we played a little bit of guitar, and he remembered me later on when around the Gulliver's years when I ran into him. We remembered each other from back in those days. How can you forget Carlos? Once you meet him, he's definitely an unforgettable character.
And before Carlos, it was Knock. Knock used to play guitar.
Oh, I remember Knock.
And when he left town, he brought in Carlos to take his place. So whenever they'd leave, they'd bring me a new guitar player, and then they'd go to L.A. and that's how I got my guitar players. They'd bring their
funny. Hey, yeah, those guys. Gary Spain. Remember Gary Spain was
Gary introduced me to John.
Yeah.
And David and all those guys. That's how I got in Chrome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of remember that. And then John went on to do some other stuff.
How did you guys meet? How did Helios and Sleeper meet?
Well, we lived down the hall from each other.
Playing together. I got Tuesday nights and he got Friday nights.
Well, we lived down the hall from each other. Remember, Helios lived about 3 or 4 doors down from me in this hotel, and I've never seen a guy who practiced as much as Helios did. I mean, he was on that guitar 22 hours out of a 24-hour day. That guitar was going all the time. And at first, it could be a little bit annoying when you were trying to sleep, but after a while, you realize, hey, this guy's dedicated. And I went, hey, instead of, don't fight him, join him, That's so I said, hey, man, I'm playing down the street. You want to come down and play with me? And
place overlooking Washington Park, wasn't it?
No, that was the other place. That was the Tower Hotel was where we were.
Tower.
Raccoon Saloon. We live. I'm sorry?
What was her name that ran that place?
Oh, I can't remember, but I know who you're talking about. But
yeah,
but that was a cool place. That was a cool place. That place, not only that hotel, but the other one that you're talking about, George, there were so many musicians that lived in that place. You know, and it's so funny when in later days when you look back and you start going down the list of all of the people that we hung out with, and we just thought were just regular guys like us, you know.
Yeah, we just happened to be there.
Yeah, exactly, by
you know what
accident
it is
or
now?
whatever.
It's an old age home. That hotel
I believe
over
it. How did they get?
Washington Square is for old people now.
How did they get up and down the stairs? You know,
I don't
they put in
know.
an elevator or something. You know, one of the funny things about that hotel, back in those, you know, we were in our 20s and rowdy, you know, and I remember being so rowdy that...
On acid,
you know,
I remember the first time I met you, we were on acid.
Oh, don't tell everybody that. How do you know?
Oh, that's a big secret. None of us have ever done that, right?
Yeah, we've never done any of that. Well, I don't know if you remember this, and I don't even know. Helios might have gone on a couple of these. Do you guys remember there was the Times movie theater in Chinatown, and it was 6 movies for $1. And we used to get a big Coleman cooler and fill it full of lemonade, and everybody'd chip in and buy window pane acid, and we'd throw it in that cooler and shake it up.
I was there tripping all the time.
All the time, yeah. We used to go out, we'd pass that jug around. There'd be like 30 of us in there, you know, bouncing off the walls and stuff.
Broken pipe.
I think I saw Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon in there on acid one time. I think that's probably...
I saw all the Korean movies.
Yeah, they always had something, or they'd have like
on acid.
Or they'd have like 6 kung fu movies at the same time, you know, with all the bad overdubs. Clint Eastwood. Yeah, Clint Eastwood movies. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the coolest though, because for $1, you know, you could see 6 movies. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to tell you about that hotel. We used to sit up on the roof and shoot fireworks because you could go down to Chinatown and get a crate of fireworks for like $5, you know. So we would, you know, it was right across from St. Peter's and Paul's Cathedral. So we'd all drop acid, go up on the roof, and shoot Roman candles off, and they'd blow up behind, you know, St. Peter's and Paul. It looked like Disneyland, you know.
Yeah.
You know, there were times when I remember coming out of the front door of that hotel, and the cops would pull up and go, "Where do you guys think you're going?" You know, and we go, "Well, we were just going to go up to Grant Street." And they go, "No. You go back in the hotel, and we don't want to see you this weekend." You know, because we were just a bunch of rowdy kids, you know.
Well, the cops used to be really nice. They used to go by when I'd have that sword on, and they'd drive by and they'd say, "Hey, George, pull that cape back, or we're going to bust you for a concealed weepon." So as long as I had the sword hanging out
that
in the
sword,
open,
man! What was that thing?
Okay.
Was about 4 feet long, you know.
Yeah.
You always
I don't think
hear
I
George.
could get away with that now, huh?
Oh yeah. Nowadays. Well, you know, you could hear George coming down the road about 2 blocks away with that sword to be clanking as you came down the road, you know, for 2 blocks. You could hear her coming.
The first time I seen her, she was walking down the street wearing her whole outfit with the sword and everything, and I go, "Who in the fuck is that?"
I know, it's pretty funny. Yeah, he definitely noticed George.
And high boots and a cape, a velvet
cape. Yeah, I remember all that. Didn't she have that great big old medallion on the front too, right? The big George medallion. That thing was like a hubcap off of a Mercedes, you know. Yeah, I think that's where I think that's where Flavor Flav got his idea for the watch around his neck. He thought George had medallion.
Well, back then the whole idea was to create your own whoever you are. So
and to be outrageous, and to be outrageous, you know, and that was the thing. Everybody remembered all the outrageous people.
Tie dye that you bought on the corner and some torn jeans and I'm a hippie. It was to create whoever you were.
To this day,
you guys didn't have to play Tuesday night like I did. Shut up! Play the song.
I know. I don't even know how I ended up with Friday nights. I know it was funny, but you know that particular club. I mean, we lived in that club. That and the Coffee Gallery. Do you remember Helios? You guys? Yeah. Do you remember when we used to have one of us would have a gig at the Coffee Gallery and the other one would have a gig at Gulliver's? So one of us would open for the other one, and then in the middle.
transport.
Yeah, we would leave our amps set up, and we just use each other's amps. We would run up and down the street. You know, one would be the headliner at one club and the opening act at the other one. You know, and we used to do that all the time.
Well, I ran the Coffee Gallery for a while. When I first got off the road with Duckle Hook, I ran it for a year. I booked all the acts and I ran the open mics. That's when Mike Wilhelm backed me up.
Oh yeah.
And then after about a year, somebody swindled my gig from me, and then I went over to Gulliver's and I played there until I had the baby, and then I would play for a couple of months while I was pregnant.
Do you know that I used to have
Gulliver's when I got pregnant, huh?
I used to have the little sandwich shop pizza parlor in the Coffee Gallery right there for a while.
Oh yeah. Jonathan
I
had a
that
sandwich shop there.
Like a year and a half. What's that?
Jonathan.
Well, I was after Jonathan. In fact, I got it from him. Yeah, he got out of it, and I took it over after that.
Did you work with Hobbs?
Norman still had the place. Oh, Tom Hobson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did a lot of stuff with Hobson. In fact, I managed him for a while. And I used to manage him, and at the same time, I would also get gigs for, like, Barry Melton and Mike Wilhelm and a bunch of guys like that and get them gigs. Cat Mother. There was a band called Cat Mother that I used to get gigs for. And who were some of the other people that used to...
Did he play with the Flaming Groovies? Did he go on that tour?
Yeah, Mike played with Flaming Groovies for quite a while.
But, I mean, they just toured, right?
He did.
They're
I
on
never
tour
went
right
out
now, and they're going to be in Europe in about a month, so you might run into them over there.
Yeah.
They got back together after 30 years, and they're back touring now, and then they're going over to Europe in a month.
The first show with them. My friend here, my guitar player. They played in Santa Cruz.
Oh yes, that was like a month ago or so, right? Or a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know how long ago it was. That was it was April 25th. It was great.
Oh, you mean last year, April, May? Oh yeah, this month, last month.
Couple of weeks. And it happened at the Crate Place in Santa Cruz. There's a really small club. There's no stage, so everyone's face to face with the Groovies. They had a really good time.
Yeah, it's so funny when you run into people like that.
San Francisco at the Great American Music Hall, and then they've been playing in Texas and Memphis and Chicago the other night at the Blues House of Blues and stuff. And they're going to Europe next month.
I have a funny Helios Creed story about that kind of thing, actually. Well, I had a gig in San Francisco. You probably remember this, and it was at the Maritime Hall. And we were headlining, and Helios and I have some mutual friends. They had a band called Galaxy Chamber. And when Galaxy Chamber was first starting out, I had a little tiny performance studio, I call it, in the Lower Haight. And so they would come and play all the time in my club. So we were pretty good friends. But I had lost touch with them. And when I got to that gig in San Francisco, I found out that they were the band on just before us. So Crystal and Nick and, those were old friends of mine. Scarlett, what was her name? Scarlett. Yeah. Anyway, we decided to just share the dressing rooms because we were all good buddies. We said, hey, let's just share our dressing room and we can hang out together. And it was kind of funny because they kept telling me, we've got this friend, this rock star friend. He's going to come and see us, And they didn't say who it was, but they just said, yeah, he's like been around for really well known and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we're in the dressing room and in comes Helios. And I think it was either Nick or Crystal. One of them says, here's our really good friend, Helios Creed. And Helios takes one look at me and he goes, Sleeper? Is that you, man? I'm like, yeah, what have you been up to? They're looking at each other going, you guys know each other? You remember that?
I found Helios on somebody's website in Germany when I was skating around, flipping from one site to another, and I found him in the friends on it was MySpace at that time. And
I remember that. Yeah.
Creed, I go, that must be him. There can't be more than one.
Yeah, nobody else would have that name,
That's why I did that.
What a great name.
Sure.
So it's a Helios Creed selling toys.
Really?
Yeah, he was selling toys, and he used my name. Whatever. He's gone now.
I was looking for the
Well,
Helios
just
Creed
look him up
action
and kick
figures.
his ass.
No, don't do that.
What, did he have, action figures or something?
Yeah, he sold toys on the internet.
Of you? Like action figures of you, or what?
No. Wait, no.
Because I want one. I was going to say, if you got an action figure, send me. I want to get one.
Helios Creed beer doll.
A beer doll, really?
Oh, we have a beer.
I have a Chris Berry in action figure.
Oh, really?
No, I'm kidding. It doesn't do anything. It's an in-action figure. Yeah.
Oh, I played with
it just lays there.
We did that song. What was that song we did? Spaceman. What was it about? You know.
Oh, you're sparking my memory here. We did have one, huh? About spaceship.
Yeah, and I did some echo thing.
Yeah, you used to do that sound effect on your guitar. Yeah.
And you sang something about being abducted or something.
Yeah, boy.
Okay,
and
it was great talking to you guys. Our time is up.
It's really nice talking to you, too. And nice hearing from you, Helios.
Lever, and we got Helios Creed from Chroma. So look them up, you guys, on the web. You'll find them all over the place. This is Girl George and the Dragons Radio Show saying, see you later, alligator.
Goodbye, George. Goodbye, sleeper.
Hey, bye, Helios. Bye, George. You guys be cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everybody's nutty as can be.
Bye-bye.
Forming games, waging war, paint the names of on the door. You against me, us versus them. No communicado, don't give a damn. Our kids in the